All right. Aloha, Tulsi-crats, Bernie-crats, Indie-crats, and free radicals. Welcome back. I am Dave, and this is the Radical Independent, where we pretty much skewer everybody. I have some progressive beliefs that are very important to me at this stage of my life, knowing what the government does with our money and how they pretty much look for to prop up a war-based economy. And I am a true Tulsi Gabbard supporter. This video really caught my attention from the great Kyle Kulinski, who has a page called Secular Talk, 713,000 subscribers, I being one of them. There's a petition here that you can click on via his latest video, which is entitled, "Is the DNC Screwing Tulsi Out of the Next Debates?" Now, this has been a fear of many of us who have seen this coming, even though Tulsi has absolutely crushed the donor threshold, the amount of money that they believe, the DNC believes, you should be raising in order to get to this next debate. The problem is a lot of the polling data, I believe, is skewed against Tulsi Gabbard. And in this little, I guess it was a petition that was started, and I'm going to probably click on that here and take a look at the petition itself. But they're asking the DNC, change.org, which is, I'm going to be honest, it's kind of a useless website. I mean, it does raise awareness, and you could see in real time here that there's quite a few, including yours truly, that signed this last night. We're asking voters that you include polls from The Economist, Emerson, and Suffolk for the September and October DNC debates. Since the end of the July debates, only a handful of polls have been released, far fewer than what was previously being released. In other words, the DNC has decided to release fewer polls and take a look at fewer polls, and this, again, is a way to get Tulsi Gabbard out of the way. Folks, she won the two debates she was in. She was the most sought after candidate, most searched online. People were talking about her. Her takedown of Kamala Harris was epic. Few people in politics saw that one coming. Some people have said it was like a desperate Hail Mary pass. No, it was actually Tulsi Gabbard acting like a progressive, which she is, calling out her record on prison reform and being this cop-type figure who's going to go into the White House and use her cop skills to be another great president, which probably means we're going to lose freedom, because that's typically what that means. So if you're for freedom, you'd want to be for Tulsi Gabbard or maybe Bernie Sanders. I did some Googling, and what I put in the search box was polling bias against Tulsi Gabbard. And these three videos pop up first. Okay? The MSNBC thing, which is from Real Clear Politics, and that's when she was antagonized by this woman for what seemed to be an eternity. Kamala Harris and her defense saying, "I'm a top-tier candidate. I'm a top-tier candidate, and you don't mess with the top-tier candidates. She's just an apologist for a dictator." And then finally we get a Tulsi Gabbard saying that social media bias is not a left-right issue. It's a free speech issue. And look, the more I look at this stuff, the more I am happy with my own choice. I mean, I can sleep at night knowing that I am backing the correct candidate for president. Tulsi Gabbard's sister hammers biased and unfair CNN. Tulsi Gabbard campaign calls CNN very very biased. But again, this doesn't talk about the polling data, which was in the search box. You can't see my search here. It's above. But it says polling bias against Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I had to go searching for the Kyle Kulinski video. Somebody had brought this to my attention on Twitter. You think this would have popped up in the search box, but folks, I know, and I can almost guarantee you, I haven't had a video demonetized lately because my subjects have been a little bit more esoteric. This one is going to get demonetized today. So if, even prior to that happening, I'll let you know. I'm going to put my PayPal email address into the description of this video. I'd ask you if you can contribute just a few bucks, maybe $5, $3, whatever you can afford, just to keep me going, because revenue on this channel is important. I want to make more videos, but I had 5 videos in a row last week, I think, demonetized, and the bulk of those views happen in the first 24 hours, which means I'm really not earning a lot of revenue because people have already watched the video. I don't have the level of subscribers here that Kyle Kulinski has. I mean, he's got 56,000 views on this video, and deservedly so. He is a real talent on social media, on independent media. He is one of the best commentators. Even if you disagree with him, he's educated, he's informed, he's creative, and he's actually fun to listen to, even if you disagree with him. So again, I'm looking up, these stats, and you're getting all of this stuff rather than any stories about polling bias. They look at it as a conspiracy theory. If here's the problem with the Democratic debates from the Washington Post. Here it says, Tulsi Gabbard, an infamous apologist for Syrian leader. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can't even, as soon as you put Tulsi Gabbard's name in it, you don't hear anything about biased polls or most sought-after candidate. Nope. It's all about this really ancient narrative, which they've effectively propped up. So here's the crux of this video, and it had to be made because some of us, again, at the very beginning of this process, and by the way, Bernie fans, get ready. Get ready. I know Bernie's doing well in New Hampshire. I looked at all these polls, though, that they're citing for where Bernie is in the race, and they're saying he's third. It's Biden, and then Warren, and then Sanders in a lot of these polls, and I'm like, that just can't be. That just can't be that Elizabeth Warren. And by the way, these same polls have Elizabeth Warren getting beaten by Donald Trump in a majority of the polls. That Bernie beats Trump and Biden apparently beats Trump, but Warren does not beat Trump. And this is what you're going to get. And by the way, I don't think Biden wants, it's a one-on-one. If it were Biden against Trump, Trump is going to just destroy Joe Biden. He just is. So, is it rigged? Is it rigged? That's the question that everybody's asking. And if they could do it in 2016, and they've got these polls that show Biden at 30% nationally, they're doing it again. And they're doing it with impunity. And the reason they're able to do it is they throw this at everybody. They say, well, if you don't take our candidate, you're just going to get Donald Trump again. Well, guess what? I'm willing to start a whole new political movement. That's what this channel is about. I will partner with like-minded progressives, like-minded conservatives to say this can't keep going. The reason I like a Kyle Kulinski is because he's an honest broker. There are people on the right that I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure, for the most part, I could listen to them, make a decent argument, and say, okay, I don't agree with everything they're saying here, but this isn't mainstream news, and they're bringing us a new, fresh, different perspective, and then we can kind of hash it out like human beings rather than being told what to think all the time, which is what this polling data is doing. So yeah, I agree with Kyle Kulinski here, or his rhetorical question here. It's it's not really that up for debate. The fact that they have to actually petition the DNC to say, hey, can you maybe do a few more polls? Because then what happens is you take the average of all of those polls, and then I bet you Tulsi's at... I saw Tulsi in an IVN poll, 5% support in the IVN poll. And that's because it's not landline based. It's not, hey, we're going to ask everybody over, 70 who they want to vote for. No offense to old folks, because there are a lot of older folks that want Bernie Sanders and or Tulsi Gabbard to be president. Because those people, some of them were part of the original peace movement and they were right all along. And now they're back and they're seeing a candidate who is making sense to them. But we need to get Tulsi to the third debate. My guess is the DNC is already, they're already trying to wipe the egg off of their face from the first two debates where Tulsi Gabbard just absolutely dominated. I thought especially that second debate, the first one she did well, the second one she did even better. And the first one she did well enough to be the most talked about candidate. So that just shows you the level of talent around her. And Bernie Sanders, has done well in his debates, and people don't even talk about Bernie Sanders. They talk about Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren. And for those of you who think that Warren is this Bernie progressive, she's not. She's a corporatist. She is all for the military-industrial complex. She wants to make it greener. She wants to make the Army lean and green. But hey, there's not a conflict out there that she wouldn't want to get involved in. It's a slightly more progressive version than Hillary Clinton, and I honestly think that most of her progressive promises are primary driven. She's going to try like crazy to drink beer and move to the center for the general, so don't be fooled by that. The only reason I would preach against Elizabeth Warren right now and not talk about issues is that people all over the place just buy it, that she's another, she's just as good as Bernie or Tulsi, and she ain't Tulsi Gabbard. She's an ivory tower elitist who literally, got ivory tower type money when she was teaching, and do we want this, or do we want somebody who represents working folks? Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders. That's it. There's nobody out there. Biden has this perception, but Biden is another corporatist, and cognitively speaking, Joe Biden is struggling. He's not just gaffe prone. It's something more like Hillary last time around with her falling incidences and, where's Hillary? I mean, you may start to see where's Biden. If Biden gets this nomination, they may play this exactly like they played it with Hillary, banking on the fact that in some polls, Biden beats Trump by 12 points. That's right now. But wait till the general. Wait till Biden is nowhere to be seen and Trump is holding rallies with 10,000 people. And this is the thing the media just doesn't understand. And I, for one, again, will not participate in the two-party mess if it's a Biden versus Trump or if it's a Warren versus Trump. I know some people will try to pull my heartstrings and say, well, Warren, she's for some of the things you believe in. I just don't think she's going to do it. I don't. I think Bernie will do it. I think Tulsi will do it. So, yeah, my conclusion here is obviously, and I by the way, I said this from the beginning, that there was inherent bias against Tulsi Gabbard. Google working overtime. Of course, she has a lawsuit right now against Google, and that's not going to help her cause with Google, especially in the area of search engine, where you type in her name and the stuff that pops out is, again, the crazy Assad BS and stuff about Kamala Harris as a top-tier candidate. What does that have to do with bias against Tulsi Gabbard? Nothing. But it's what pops up, We do get Tulsi's sister, but anybody now who speaks up against, like, CNN or the usual media establishments, it's like, yeah, they're just going up against big tech. It's what Trump did. Trump did the same thing. So it's guilt by association. Bernie the other day, Bernie called out the media, and he's, it's the left's version of Donald Trump. Well, you know what? I'll take Bernie Sanders all day long and on Sundays, twice a day and on Sundays over, Donald Trump and the do-nothing presidency for the middle class and the working class, because that's what it is. It's a do-nothing presidency for people who need help, and it's a do-everything presidency for the MIC and for all those folks who are getting rich on Wall Street. That's why they freak out. That's why the news media only freaks out when Wall Street has a bad day, but they don't freak out when you and I, when we have a bad day. They could care less. So in any event, it's rigged, and it's going to get worse. And I don't think the change.org, although a novel idea and people do it for everything, I don't think change.org is going to help us get out of this. And we got to plan for the future, folks. We got to plan for the future. The future is some other way. I've been saying this for 3-4 months since I've been doing this. You can't go through. You got to go around, and we got to start our own movement. And by the way, if Tulsi and or Bernie are unwilling to do the other way, well, guess what? We need to find someone else who believes in those things, who's a charismatic leader, who can get on the ballot in all 50 states, and who can challenge this, process, because otherwise we're going to get the same exact government that we've had for decades now. Just slightly different flavors. We rearranged the deck chairs a little bit. We put the liberal resistance chairs up front, or we put the conservative movement chairs and we move them around a little bit. But basically it's the same government. And I'm hoping for real change, not fake change. Not change via rhetoric, but change via action. So that's what we need. All right, I'm done. You can check out the petition. I signed it, but I guess it looks good if they get to 10,000. I just don't think it's really going to matter. All right, see you soon.